Hi, hello. It's Aaron. Funnily enough, 'cause this is my Chanel. Unexpected plot twist there. Uh, Again, here's my dyed hair, which you can't really see any difference with in this light. So I'm going to be reviewing the Haunting of Villa Diodati. Despite I don't think that building's actually mentioned by name in the story, or if it is, it's literally briefly. What did I think of it? I thought it was great. The first 20 minutes is this sort of ooky spooky, like, oh, the skeleton hands walking around and they can't get through, they can't escape the house and there's the ghost appearing. It was kind of like a mishmash of things. There was a bit of hide in there. There was, I think, apparently the sort of moving into one room and not being able to escape apparently is, I think, Castrovolva, someone said. I don't know, I haven't seen that story. And also, it's not like Castrovolva had that idea first. I thought the trailer, well, the trailers haven't been great this season in general, but I thought the trailer for this episode was particularly bad, and I wasn't really expecting much from the episode. And it turns out, like, again, the whole historical, like, met the night of Mary Shelley conceived Frankenstein, it was kind of, again, a smokescreen for the true story. So although there's a bit of historical stuff in there, really it just so happens that this Cyberman story happens to have some historical figures in it. Like, it's not a Vincent and the Doctor, it's not a Rosa, it's not, my lip balm is just melting off my lips. It's not like a full on, like, oh, let's learn about Mary Shelley, let's learn about her life, her values, her passions. We get a glimpse into it, but really the bookends of the story are about that. The sort of whole middle sort of third act, everything is all about the lone Cyberman. Lily Miller played Mary Shelley, and I thought she was really good. I don't think she's gonna go down in history, as one of my favourite historical characters. I don't think she was as strong as Ada and Nor from Spyfall. I don't think she's as strong as Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, but I think that is just the nature of this episode, that she's not going to be. I ended up actually really liking all the other characters as well, though. I thought Percy Shelley was quite likable. Lord Byron wasn't likable, but he wasn't. I didn't like despise him as a character. He was just a bit of a come on, mate. So Nadia Parks plays Claire Claremont, who is Mary Shelley's stepsister. And I learned that because, coincidentally, in my English literature coursework, which I'm not even started to properly yet, but I'm thinking about it and planning for it, I was thinking maybe doing Frankenstein. I was doing research, and I was like, oh, stepsister Claire Claremont. Then I was like, hang on, literally, like, in 2 days, a Doctor Who episode about Mary Shelley airs. It turns out it wasn't as informational as I was hoping. She was amazing as Claire Claremont. And I thought she was really likable, and I liked her thing with Yaz. And I also liked Ryan's sort of banter with Polly. I'm going to call him Polly because can't remember how to say his last name. I thought he was alright, but of all the characters, I think he was the one I could have cut from the story. I guess they had to have someone who was sleepwalking to have the reveal of, like, oh, because he can't see, he's not fooled by the perception filter, so he just walks through what, like, actual doors are. But I don't know, give that to, like, another character, because I didn't. But I guess he had to be there because of historical accuracy. I thought the other characters, like I thought they were called valets. I think he was himself a valet, and the maid Elise, whose death is really brutal, by the way. Like, that was really scary. I was like, oh no, please don't find. I know it's gonna find her, but don't find her. Oh my god, I found her, and then it broke her neck. So, when the Cyberman turned up, which was really well done. It's a shame we kind of knew it was coming. But after that happened, I was literally like, so how are we going to explain the ooky spookiness that's been going on in this house? And I was pleasantly surprised by how well they did it. Because the Cyberium, it seems to be this all-powerful force, combined with a living host. It was literally able to create this world, like, almost like a fake world, like, in the house. Like, no one could leave, because it was, like, trying to protect itself. It was kind of like a physical barrier in and out. No one could leave or get in the house. It seems to be that the Cyberium itself is what was sort of trying to stop the Cyberman from phasing in. It was like trying to keep it out. And then when it did get in the house, it was able. I don't know. I guess it was also an element of like Shelley couldn't really control what he was doing. Like for most of the story, the reason Shelley was missing was because he like was sort of everyone else was seeing the perception filter that he was sort of unwittingly creating, so they couldn't see him because he wasn't part of it. There were just little flashes. So I guess that, and again, this isn't. I don't think there was an explanation given to the skeleton stuff. But I think perhaps it's just because Shelley was a bit of a writer in the horror stories, and you know, all these things combined, we kind of created this horror story by accident. And even then, it's not such a huge plot hole that it ruins the episode for me. I'm just surprised that they gave me an explanation that I accepted. So I was like, you know what, I'll buy that. And it also worked because then I was like, this is so powerful. It's not just it's the source or the Cyberman information. Like I've literally seen it, the power it has. So I now understand the stakes, because without someone even knowing what to do with it, they're able to do all this. The visuals were really good. It was a really well directed episode. Emma Sullivan came back, so that was really nice. I think the flashes of lightning, the way everything was lit, I think the shots were cool. It was well done, spooky as well, like the way the ghost would appear and disappear with the lightning. When Graham rounds that corner and you can just see that ghost in the background, like, and it's not really like drawn attention to at first. You're just like, oh, okay. Although they use the same trick a lot of times, the way that people would like go down the stairs and be back at the top and going round and round, it kind of captured the sort of terror of like, what if that was you? What if you like couldn't leave a room? Like you walked out and you just find yourself walking back in. You know, I think that's terrifying. I don't know what I would do if that happened to me. I have no idea what I would do. The Doctor was amazing. Maybe her best episode. Definitely one of, if not her best episode. Episodes. I meant to put an S at the end, but I didn't. I thought there were so many good things. When Byron kept hitting on her and she'd be like, no, you may not. The mention of Bill was so heartbreaking, because if you haven't seen the show, you're just going to like, oh, you know, the Doctor's lost people to this before, or at least lost a person. But for us, considering it was also really recent for her, because it was just at the very end of the 12th Doctor Regeneration, so she's quite young. So Bill is still quite fresh for a Time Lord lifespan. And I thought the bit about the team, the flat team structure, where she wasn't being too like, oh, all of a sudden I hate my companions. She's just being like, you know what, let's just keep it real right now. Let's for once just really talk about how it is. We may be this lovely, great, fun team, but I'm the one who makes the decisions, because no one else can make the decisions. You know, I have to do this because you're not going to. You're not going to be able to pick between Shelley and yourselves, because you will die if he dies, and then the rest of the world. And then she also has the point of, you know, if she can save history, then she can fight the Cybermen in the future. Whereas, you know, if she lets this point in time, this fixed point, you know, change, you know, well, not a fixed point, but I guess if she lets this point change, then it's going to be more difficult. Like, I see her mentality of she doesn't win either way, but she's rationalizing it as, I'd rather fight somewhere else than here. And she wore her scarf briefly. I liked her scarf, and she actually had her hood up for the first time in the show ever. The only other time we've seen her with her hood up was like one promotional image for series 11. It really has nothing to do with her character or the review, but I just thought I'd put it out there. The companions were all really good. I thought Ryan was funny. I thought Graham was funny. I thought Yaz, the way she talked to Claire, and I think all of them were great when talking about Jack and kept reminding her. And 13 was like, you know, Jack's not here right now. He doesn't have to make the decision, I do. I know this. If you don't want to see this, if you don't think this is the case, then that is your opinion. What the hell? If you don't want to see this, or if you don't believe this is the case, then that's your opinion. I personally think that the bit where her and Claire are talking, I think that is very much at least a strong hint that Yaz has some romantic inclination towards 13. I think. And the Doctor Who BBC America Twitter page again did that thing where it tweeted something that was seemed to also confirm this, and then when people start talking, oh my god, Thasmin confirmed, they then deleted it, which is the same thing they did. They posted like a picture of, I think, Jodie and Alex Kingston at, like, I think, Comic-Con, and it was something to do with wives. It was something to do with their relationship, and then they deleted it, which is kind of disheartening, actually, that twice now they've had a tweet, and then just because they get responses being like, oh my god, yay, a woman loving another woman, they then go, oh, get it down. It's not like they get a negative response. It's just when they see people talking about that idea, they then remove it. And I'm like, oh, well, that's nice, isn't it? Every time you have anything which is remotely LGBT friendly on your page, which is also so weird. When you really think about it, when you've just had Jack Snog Graham in Fugitive of the Jadoon, to them then on 2 occasions be like, this isn't a woman-woman relationship. It's kind of weird, and maybe that's a rant for another day, but I just want to put out there that I do not appreciate. I don't appreciate that. And again, it's not like I'm gonna cancel Doctor Who BBC America Twitter page. But I just thought people should know about that, and that's an interesting thing. But yeah, so that's been confirmed. Although with like, personally, I think that Yasmin will probably leave either in the finale or in the next special. So even, let's say, give our best possible scenario, with 3 episodes to go, I don't see them suddenly giving her a romantic plot with the Doctor, to be honest. I think they will just leave it at this, like a subtle hint that she might have a thing for the Doctor. Which I actually don't mind, because I honestly thought the egregious, don't forget Clara fancies the Doctor a bit, and also the kind of weird, maybe the Doctor fancies Clara a bit. I didn't, back when she was with the 11th Doctor, I didn't like that. So I will take this one hint that she has a thing for the Doctor. And Yaz has kind of, after Can You Hear Me, and yeah, after Can You Hear Me, she's kind of stepped up to be maybe my favourite companion of the 3, which is so random, but I really think giving her that backstory of, the police officer and her running away, even in this episode, I'm watching it, and now every time I'm now understanding all her decisions. I'm understanding everything she does, because now I know a lot more about her and who she is as a person. So everything makes sense. Although I still love Graham. The thing with the ghosts I thought was a bit weird, to be honest. Like, I love, they seem to do this at any, like, Halloweeny, like, spooky thing. Like, they did it with Pretty Little Liars Halloween specials. They'd always be like, maybe there is, like, a spooky, maybe it is paranormal. And they did, like, a supernatural spin-off thing, and that failed, so Pretty Little Liars learned their lesson. But I was thinking, as they were leaving, I was like, what were the 2 ghost people? And then Graham was like, who are the 2 ghost people? And I was like, thank God they mentioned it. So, The Lone Sideman. The last thing I'm going to talk about in this review. The Lone Sideman was amazing. I loved the voice that was more human, although sometimes it was hard to understand what he was saying. I will admit, when he first said, are you the Guardian? I was like, speak up, please. I thought the visual was so cool. The way, like, the body was the Nightmare and Silver ones, but then the arm was from Mondasian one. It had a human hand, and it had tubing. The helmet was the only piece that actually looked really different. Like, it didn't look like it was taken from an old design. It looked like a brand new design. I think someone said apparently it seemed to be based on a rejected idea for the 2006 Cybermen. Rejected is a very harsh word. Like, an idea that wasn't used, which is cool. I guess. I don't know. I like that they at least went to the effort of making a new helmet. They didn't just literally go, put a bit of weathering on that, get that arm we have over there, there was some effort put into it. Seeing the human face, it had metal teeth, Visually it was really, and also the glowing blue chest works better here, so much better than it did in any of the other Cybermen stories when they had it. I think, one, because the setting was so good for this, because it was almost darkness, so having the blue light. I liked the sort of lightning thing. It does a lot of, like, shouting and stomping and things, but I thought his interactions with the Doctor were good, and that was also great. 13 has turned out, I think so. She does, every Doctor has their weak points, but she's done really well with confronting, like, her biggest enemies. Like, I thought her confrontation resolution was good in Spyfall Part 2, in The Haunting of Villa Diodati. Like, she's good at this. Also in 2 seasons, And how many episodes have we had? 11. In 19 episodes, Chris Chibnall has given us like the three biggest villains of the show, and I think all successfully. So round of applause for Chris Chibnall. I think one of the best scenes in the episode, one because it linked to the Frankenstein bit, and it was like, oh, this is how Mary Shelley got the inspiration, and the mention of modern Prometheus, and all that. But I love that she's like, oh, you know, you had children, and blah, 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 blah. And they start to do the fake out of maybe he is feeling things. And then he goes, nah, bitch, turned out I was a total psychopath before I got converted. Turns out I don't care. Because he mentions, like, oh, stabilization wasn't necessary. And I was interested. I was like, why wouldn't the Cybermen inhibit his emotions? That's one of their biggest things. And it seems to be because they were like, oh, he's crazy. We need that. Oh, okay, he's gonna literally do what we say without even having to convert him fully. Okay, go ahead. Because I know I also like the idea that in the Cyber Wars you had the Resistance, and then you had like people like whatever his name was, Ashad, I think, who weren't yet Cybermen, but were like fully like, oh yeah, I'm for the cause. Like, you don't support Cybermen, couldn't be me. I like that he was like, oh yeah, I spared your son because he was weak. Because I think, did he say sickly? Which is a reference to, because I think apparently the baby died, I think I think it was 3 months or 3 years later. But someone said I think he ended up dying of illness not much later. Again, and the beauty of this story is that because although it's a singular story, it is very much sort of dependent a little bit on the 2-part finale. So any like missing information about the lone Cyberman doesn't matter, because we're going to see him, I would think, a lot in Ascension of the Cybermen, and maybe even in the Timeless Children, although I think that's probably a little bit less likely. So yeah, that was amazing, honestly. It was just a really good story. I think the ending was a little bit weak. The sort of ending scenes, a little bit. But apart from that, by the way, when I go back to rank all my stories, I will rescore all of the episodes after having been giving them a little bit thought. Which, now I think about it, gives a disadvantage to the new episodes because they have less time to mull over in my mind. But oh well. So I'm going to give The Haunting of Villa Diodati a 9 out of 10, which is the highest score I've given so far. Although I do think when I rescore them, I do think maybe a couple episodes I will bump up from like an 8 and 8.5 to a 9. Because I think I've been perhaps a little bit reserved. Maybe, I don't know. But as we stand, if all my scores stay as they are, this is my favourite episode of the season so far. Which is possibly true. I just think there's a lot that are at the very similar level. But this is probably one of my favourites, if not my favourite. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the finale now. Although now that I've had a really good like pre-finale episode, the stakes are kind of raised now. So I'm expecting big things from you, Doctor Who. And this would also kind of be our biggest story so far, because we had Resolution, which was a great Dalek episode, but it was only 1 part. We had Spyfall, which was 2 parts. And now we're effectively having what is kind of a 3-parter. So this really should be like a big, epic 13th Doctor story. Although I do fear, my little fear is that perhaps it's going to be overpacked, because the mention of the Timeless Children means that the Master will probably appear, the Ruth Doctor will probably appear, there'll be stuff about Gallifrey, maybe Captain Jack will be in it as well. So I'm hoping they haven't given themselves too many things to do. But that is it, Germanicus. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you didn't, there's a hair on the end of my nose.